Has before it House Bill 1253, which has been read. Mr. Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, House Bill 1253 was introduced by Representatives Hansen, Beadle, and M. Johnson, and Senators Miller and Schneider. House Bill 1253 is a bill for an act to create and enact a new section to Chapter 16.1-08.1 of the North Dakota Century Code relating to prohibiting the personal use of campaign funds and to provide a penalty. Mr. Speaker, your Government and Veterans Affairs Committee recommends do not pass on House Bill 1253 by a vote of 10 yeas, 4 nays, and 0 absent not voting. Mr. Speaker.
Representative Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker and members of the Assembly, your Committee on Government and Veterans Affairs on a 10-4 vote recommends that do not pass on House Bill 1253. House Bill 1253 was drafted to define what is prohibited for candidates to use their campaign funds and also had a civil penalty that would be enforced if they were used their funds inappropriately. The committee felt that there have not been any problems with the current system. This bill was not necessary. The Government and Veterans Affairs Committee on 10-4 vote asks the Assembly to vote red. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any discussion? Representative Mock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would the bill carrier yield to a question?
Representative Doctor, will you yield to a question?
Mr. Speaker, yes, I will.
Representative Mock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question for the bill carrier, if a candidate or multi-candidate committee or candidate committee or multi-candidate political committee receives contributions, does the appropriate reporting as required by law, and then uses that money on personal expenses that without this law would be legal, does that individual pay income tax using it for personal use? Is that considered income? And do they have to render income tax to the state and federal government on that?
Mr. Speaker. Doctor. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Mock. I'm an income tax preparer, and I don't know the answer if they would pay income tax. I know if it's over $600, they'd have to send you a 1099, but I don't have the answer on if they would have to pay income tax or not for contributions.
If I may continue, Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead.
And thank you, and I appreciate the answer. And I think we see the vote, we know where it's going to go, but it does provide a very fascinating complexity to campaign contributions. Because when I first ran and visiting with candidates, I always asked, if you had any money left in the campaign account at the end of the campaign, what do you do with it? And one of the most fascinating answers I received was, well, you put it in your checking account. It's yours. That's income. And without law that explicitly prohibits the use of campaign contributions for personal use, in an essence, that is non-taxed personal income. And I would be very, very interested to see the legislature take the steps, at least, to ensure that we are spelling out the prohibition. Campaign contributions cannot be used for personal expenses because we do not track legislative contributions that are less than $200 or less. There's no reporting of this, not even aggregate. There are for statewide candidates, but not for legislative. We do not disclose expenditures. So while I trust the members of this body and any candidate running for office, I do believe that they've got the public interest at heart and that they would not violate the intent of the law. Trust but verify. And it does provide a very interesting question, a very challenging question. What do we have in law to ensure that this is not happening? Because we've seen it in other states, it's arisen, and there's certainly no way of knowing if it isn't happening in North Dakota. I'm going to vote yes on this, and I hope that the Assembly votes gives me about 48 or so votes to go along and move this bill forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Casper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the Assembly. I would suggest that Representative Mock raised a very good question. I think logic says if we would use campaign contributions for personal use, it's income. But we have a way to find out. I'd like to suggest that Representative Mock or any one of us contact the tax commissioner and ask for his opinion. Then we'll know for sure. Regarding the use of campaign contributions for personal use, I've been here since 2001. I've never heard of any of my colleagues, both on the Democrat side or the Republican side ever discussing the fact that they had done anything like that, and I don't suspect anybody would. I think we have enough reporting. We've heard the discussion on the other bills. I hope we give this a red vote. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the House has before it House Bill 1253 for final consideration, House Bill 1253. The clerk will open the key and you may record your vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? The key will be closed and the clerk will take the record. The final vote shows 26 yea, 65 nay, 3 absent and not voting. House Bill 1253 is declared failed.